people like to plant seeds of chaos and corruption, but over here, we like to plant seeds of purpose. And in this next Sizzlin Summer Replay, it was all about harvesting justice. This episode took us deep into what it really means to speak up, to show up, and to push for what's right. Even when people's telling you to sit down and be quiet. If you've ever felt called to dig deeper, to stand taller, to do something, well, you're already in the right space. I'm gonna go get me a refill on my Mai Tai, and y'all check out this episode. Welcome everyone to another purposefully packed episode of the Pretty Purposeful Podcast. I am your host, Angie Melange.
And I'm your co-host, Candace.
I cannot believe it, girl. We are halfway through the season already. Where did time go?
I'm telling you. Please tell me.
I have no idea, but I mean, you know what they say, when you're having fun, time flies, right?
Wow.
So I definitely have been enjoying this season so far. So what you been up to, girl? What's new?
Let me show you. I'm so excited. Okay. So today, this is what I've been working on all throughout the night. All morning is meal prepping. So I have my potatoes, broccoli, the egg scramble that I tried to mock like you, girl, and then the green smoothies.
I'm so proud of you. I am really proud of you, y'all. Candace, listen, when I tell you, she is definitely, when it comes to meal prepping, especially when it comes to fresh foods, fruits, vegetables, like you see, she got the green smoothies. Like, I'm so proud of you. I know we've both been on this health journey for a while, but I have to give you credit. You are so consistent and you just have to, I mean, hey, you are doing better than me. So my hat goes off to you, girl, and it looks delicious. Yes. I'm so sorry. You were going to say your dad. Yes.
No, you're good. No, you're fine. I'm trying to look, Angie, you were the one that inspired me because I remember you said you had meal prep one weekend and it was successful for you. So I was like, let me go ahead and hop on this because I did try it once and it went very well for the few days that I had meals prepared for. So I'm like, let me do this again, but make some more food. So
yes. Oh, and you said you made the egg scramble too. It looked good, girl. I seen them red bell peppers in there, honey.
I put all the veggies in there with the Colby Jack cheese. So y'all, I'm trying like my highest. No, literally, I got on the scale and I think I bumped up some more pounds, like 287 pounds. I refuse to get the 300, Angie. I refuse.
You're not. We rebuke that. We are not going there. And but I mean, you on top of it. That's the thing. That's the key. The fact is, every little step counts because even when you're not losing, but you're continuing, they say, 21 days of doing something, you create a habit. And like I said, you're doing better than me in terms of putting the right things in your body. I have to get on that part. Now, as far as the losing the weight part, yeah, I've been losing some weight, maybe not the most healthy way. But I could probably be in the gym, building some muscle toning, so I got to get on top of my grind, but I'm very proud of you and keep up the great work.
Thank you, Angie. So I was telling you about this cat that my dad adopted, right?
Yes, girl.
It was a stray cat. So my dad has a huge garden and he doesn't like, rodents and stuff in there. So I think this is what motivated him to start feeding stray cats.
Oh.
He started feeding some stray cats, y'all. So it started with the black cat. And then as time went on, I seen another friend come over.
They're so cute.
Oh my gosh, y'all,
goodness.
I am shooting this from like far, far away because they won't let us get anywhere near them. So they're still kind of getting in the trust.
What is he eating? Because he is tearing it up, girl.
I think it's a chicken leg. I think it's something involving some type of meat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, they eating good. Oh, they definitely gonna be back, honey.
He's going in on the food, okay?
Yes.
So, yeah, they are so adorable. I love me some cats, animals, okay?
And they're long hair. They're the long fur. I love long hair cats. My Hammy was a medium hair cat, but I had another cat, Haley. When we adopted Hammy, rest in peace, Hammy. We had adopted Haley, and Haley was a long hair cat. So yeah, they remind me of Haley. You make me want to go get another cat, girl.
Go get another one.
It'll be a year next month since Hammy passed, so I think it's been enough time. I think I'm ready. Yeah.
Do it. Look, I'm over here like,
yeah, I'm a cat lady for life. That's for sure. I'm a cat lady. Yes. But God, thank you so much for sharing, girl. For the updates.
Yes. What have you been up to? How have you been?
Well, I have, I've been keeping some things under wraps for a while, and I am ready to let the cat out the bag. Pun intended. Y'all, I am very proud to announce that after 18 years of not doing this, I'm finally back in a band. The good things in time. That was just a snip of us at our first rehearsal. I got to give you a little bit of backstory. So the person that you heard singing, that is actually like my big brother, Salt, from Pittsburgh. Anybody from Pittsburgh that knows Salt knows that he loves singing so much that he used to have a lounge called Duets. I used to actually bartend at Duets back in the day. And how ironic it is that we both were here in Atlanta. We came across one another, girl. Very ironic that he knew my ex-husband. I still don't understand, but divine timing, divine intervention, what have you. But he is like a big brother. He's always been someone who I've been loyal to. He's always been respectful. We've always enjoyed singing. So it did not surprise me when he asked me, did I want to, start a band? I'm like, of course, absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's do it. That's what I'm talking about.
And one thing I can say about Salt is he's about his business. And so he has, gotten everybody together. He's taking care of a lot of the logistics, managing, all the logistics and stuff. So I'm just really happy to be doing this and embarking on this with someone who I have history with, who I trust, who I love. It's my big brother, and we're gonna have fun with it. So our band is called Groove Alliance. Yes, and I love it because we are a very diverse band. So I'm the only female singer. Salt is the male singer, and then we have people of all different races, ages, and just a variety. We are actually a 10-piece band.
10 piece as in 10 people?
10 people. Yes.
Wow.
So we're excited. And I want to share something else.
Please.
So we actually have our first gig coming up on November 24th. We're going to be performing at the Georgia Festival of Trees. And
wow.
I had an opportunity to perform at the Georgia Festival of Trees last year by myself as a solo act, but this year I'm happy to come back with my new band, and we're going to be performing at the Gas South Arena. So for those of you who are in the Atlanta area, you don't have anything to do, come on out. It is a week-long event, but we're going to be there on the 24th of November. It's on a Sunday. It's actually pajama themed. So really fun, get in your jammy jams, get your matching pajamas, bring your family out. Tickets, you can actually purchase tickets by going to, yes, thank you, showpass.com/GA Festival of Trees. Get your tickets. Children under 2 get in for free. Lots of fun. The Georgia Festival of Trees actually benefits an organization that benefits sex trafficking victims. So it's benefiting a great cause. And so I'm excited to be participating again. And there is my my big surprise that I've been holding on to for a while.
That is awesome. Angie, I'm so excited and happy. Like, you are actually about to be, you've already been in your zone, but this is like officially like in your zone.
Thank you, girl. When I tell you the last time I sang in a band was back in 2005. I was literally pregnant with Michaela, and I used to sing with a band in Pittsburgh called the Smoke Band. Shout out to the Smoke Band. I really enjoyed that experience, but 18 years, girl, I'm a little rusty when it comes to, singing in the band, but girl, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. We're called the Groove Alliance Band. So I guess you could say I'm getting my groove back.
I look forward to it. Like, count me in. November 24th. I look forward to it showing up. And you said we could show up in pajamas too?
Yes, girl. I got your VIP ticket, honey.
Look.
You on the VIP list. Yes, absolutely. So that's what I've been up to, everyone. So definitely support the Groove Alliance Band. If you need any bands, if you're here in Atlanta and you need a band for wedding, party, whatever event you have going on, hit us up. Right now, we don't have an official website, but you can certainly reach out to me. You can get in contact with me on Instagram, and we certainly can work it out. But more to come.
Oh, that is awesome. Oh, I'm excited.
Since our last episode, there's been a lot going on. So we just had 2 major weather events here in Georgia. And girl, I'm from up north. The hurricane life, I don't know much about it, but I got my first experience living through a hurricane. It was Hurricane Helene was the first one that came through that impacted Georgia the most. And then right behind it came Hurricane Milton. So Candace, you got an update on what's been going on with the hurricanes in our area?
Oh, so let me show you. So this is pretty much like, I guess, some survivors talking about their experiences after the fact.
Are they from Florida?
Yes, in Florida. So let me see if I can share my screen.
You can look over here. That's my sister's car.
Wow,
my gosh. Okay,
that's my brother's truck.
Every one of them is damaged.
Yeah, every vehicle is damaged over here. Even my vehicle on the other side is damaged.
So did you see the tornado coming through, or were you taking shelter?
Like I said, I was inside cooking.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
After it hit my cousin's church, blew the roof off my cousin's church.
Yes.
It had to be like 10, 15 minutes. It flipped back around and it came and damaged it, did its damage. It did what it did.
Can you even begin to process?
No, I can't process this.
No.
Can't process. I'm gonna be here trying to get it back right.
Can you tell me about what you were doing, what was happening, what you heard?
So I just gotten home from work. I work for Teleperformance. I just want to say Teleperformance has been amazing to me because they're all reaching out to me. I was about to walk onto that back porch and my husband pulled me out and said, "There's a tornado coming." And he threw me on the couch and it just came. But the only thing I saw was like just white all around us, and just you could feel like the suction of the tornado.
This is like the first time in many years that area, even like around Orlando, that they had seen anything like this, like landfall. So yeah. And there were some people that, there were videos and things on TikTok. People were saying that they couldn't get out. Some people couldn't afford to evacuate. Obviously, these people did not evacuate. They may be some of the ones that, maybe just didn't have the finances to be able to pick up and go. And
Exactly. I actually had a friend that stayed, I want to say near the Tampa area, and they decided to weather it out. And thank God I checked up on them. They're doing okay, but the power is out.
Mhm.
She's like, yeah, food about to spoil, all of that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And you know, so I seen something online. They were talking about how FEMA gives out like $750. And there were some people that were like complaining about that. And I hate to say it, but it seemed like they were like Trump supporters that were like saying that, oh, that's not enough money and they could be doing more. And I got to thinking, and I'm like, but really, that's $750 is like literally for essentials. It's like gas. It's like groceries. It's literally to assist you with your most immediate needs. And I think, you know, 750 times however many families are impacted, like that's the initial thing that they can do for everybody. They're guaranteeing that you get that. So I'm like, I just found that to be really, you know, I don't know. It just, I'm like, the person that said that obviously hadn't been through the situation, because when you think of it, any person is grateful for anything. When you go through that, you're just grateful for anything.
Anything.
$750.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can get you a decent amount of groceries. Heck, you could even buy you a refrigerator. You could buy you a generator with $750, right?
Period.
It's something. And to be honest, people that own homes, you know, it's always wise to have homeowners insurance. If you don't own a home, renters insurance. And so yeah, in these cases, insurance is important, but we understand not everybody can afford that, which leads me to our topic today. Hey, Purposeful family, it's Angie Milans with the Pretty Purposeful podcast, here reminding you that your voice matters now more than ever.
At Pretty Purposeful Events, event planning meets social impact. We plan, we host, we build community. Grounded in service, guided by values. From youth empowerment events to community outreach, we create spaces that bring people together with purpose. Let's create something purposeful together. Pretty Purposeful Events is based in Atlanta, Georgia, proudly serving nonprofit and community-based organizations nationwide. Virtual services available. For more information, visit us online at prettypurposefulevents.com.
Last week, our episode, we talked about health, women's health. And so this week, our topic is harvesting justice, sowing seeds for change. And I wanted to kind of carry the conversation on from last week when we were discussing health into this week and just talking about the different disparities, you know, that different populations face, and considering the impact of the hurricane. Again, depending on a person's socioeconomic status, you know, their experience with this hurricane is going to be different. The aftermath of the hurricane is going to be different. So we're going to go ahead and get right into this topic. Last week, we talked about health, women's health. This week, we wanted to talk about healthcare as it relates to like marginalized populations, specifically like the Black and Brown communities. And as you know, like in Florida, for instance, with this hurricane, not everybody was able to pick up and get, you know, to evacuate. And then, you know, just again, dealing with the aftermath, not everybody's going to be able to recover as quickly. And that goes for people who may have been injured. You know, there were lives that were lost in this hurricane. But when it comes to accessing care, there's so many different factors that impact, you know, people's ability to access care. So I wanted to talk about that today and really dive into the topic of health disparities. And there's something called social determinants to health. Have you ever heard of that before, Candace?
No.
Yeah. So the first time I ever heard of social determinants of health, actually, I was managing a contact center in Pittsburgh, and we were the managed care organization for Medicare and Medicaid recipients. So those typically are people who are, if you're getting Medicaid, you're obviously living under the poverty level.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're on Medicare, you are either disabled or you're a senior. So very vulnerable populations, essentially. And so when I learned about that term, I was so triggered, girl. When I was going through the training and stuff, I was triggered because I was like, this sounds like how I grew up. This sounds like the things that, I experienced growing up, things like, food insecurity, things like just lack of, having lack of income and opportunities for employment, and even just housing. I wanted to go ahead and give a definition of what the official definition of a social determinant to health is. So social determinants of health are conditions in the environments where people are born, grow, live, work, and age. These circumstances are shaped by the distribution of money, power, and resources at a global, national, and local level. So essentially, social determinants can impact not just Black and brown communities, they can impact all races, because you don't really choose where you grow up, right?
Right.
You could be, a low income, white family, or Mexican family, or, you don't get to choose. But based on those conditions, that will determine, how well or how much access you have to your health care. And so I actually had to do I chose to do research on health disparities within the Black community for my master's program. So I wanted to share a bit of that so that we can dive a little more deeper into specifically what caused these social determinants to health when we speak of Black and brown communities, specifically the Black community. So I'm going to go ahead and add that here. And I got to put my glasses on so I can read this. All right. So after slavery was abolished in the United States, African Americans continued to experience racism, social injustices, and medical experimentation. You, Candace, you've heard of the Tuskegee experiments?
Yes. I have.
Mm-hmm. And additionally, segregation restricted African Americans from accessing the same economic opportunities as white Americans. African Americans experienced discrimination in housing, employment, income, and access to healthcare, all of which are social determinants to health. African Americans continue to experience structural racism and implicit biases. African Americans were more likely to work lower paying jobs, more likely to be uninsured, and rely on Medicaid. Hospitals and physicians were prohibited from discriminating against federal health programs. However, that did not stop them from closing in African American communities and moving to predominantly white neighborhoods. So just from that bit of research, it was quite evident that after slavery, we really never had equal access to healthcare. Something in that research that stood out to me specifically was when they were saying that even when the government had started implementing programs like Medicaid and holding doctors and hospitals accountable for, making sure that they were following certain guidelines, right? What they would do so that they could avoid all of that is they would just pick up and move out of the communities where Black people were, right? And that actually happened where I used to live. I used to live in Braddock, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And it was a very small town, rural Pittsburgh. And we had one hospital. It was Braddock Hospital. And while I was living there, I want to say they left in, 2000 and, because Michaela was born. So I want to say they left Braddock in like 2010 or 2011. But that wasn't too long ago. And hospitals were still doing this. So again, removing access to care. So now all the people that lived in that neighborhood who once could walk to the hospital. Now I will say this, the care there was not the greatest.
Yeah.
I can speak from my own experience. And I also have, friends that have passed in that hospital, relatives that passed in that hospital. But they took the hospital completely away. So if you had an emergency, it was no longer you could just go down the street to the hospital. You now had to go into the city of Pittsburgh. So people that didn't have cars, or if you called 911, you had to wait on the ambulance. Ain't no telling how long it's going to take for the ambulance to come in, So again, these are the things that I literally saw that happen, right, in modern day. But we still see I can only imagine what was happening back in, unfortunately, these are the reasons why a lot of our people are not getting diagnosed, in time. especially when it comes to chronic disease. And when it comes to medical adherence, a lot of our people don't adhere to their medical treatment because they're not able to access the care consistently enough. There also is medical mistrust. We don't necessarily trust the doctors because there's those implicit biases. They don't believe you when you say you're in pain, or when you tell them that, something is not working and you need a different, try something different. They're not willing to try. They want to try a cookie cutter approach, and they don't want to, take the time to learn what our community needs, what our specific, needs are. So what are your thoughts on that? What are your experiences, and what do you know about these health disparities?
Angie, it just took me back to my grandfather who recently passed away on my dad's side. My parents are from Mississippi, so they're all used to growing up in the rural areas, right? So not having access to a hospital or that immediate care. So it just reminded me of like the type of care or treatment that my grandfather had when he had like emergency situations in this rural area, and it wasn't, I really don't think where he stayed at that he probably had the best staff there. All based on his environment, right, where he was located. So to hear your experience and how people have shifted, it's not right. It's not right. And it's so unfortunate, and that's why I'm like, hey, do what you have to do to get to a better place. But at the end of the day, that's why I am grateful for this platform, Angie, because a lot of people probably aren't aware, like you've mentioned to me before we even had this podcast, of how serious this is, right? Like this is happening today. Yeah. I mean, you had this experience like a little less than 12 years ago, 2010, 2011. That was like, it feels like a few seconds ago. So it's just very unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, and these are the things that, like I said, without me being in that role and without me pursuing my master's, I don't know that I would have known these things. That's why I want to share this on this platform, because I think if we become aware of the ways systemically that we are, we don't have access to care, and that a lot of times it is done by design, that, it's not a coincidence that you have to travel very far to get to your doctor. That's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence, unfortunately. Another thing that is not a coincidence, the fact that Whole Foods is over in the nice neighborhoods, but you got a Family Dollar and a Dollar General on every corner in the hood. That is not a coincidence. We
talk about it. Talk about it, sis. Talk about it, sis.
Let's talk about the food deserts and how in most urban, low income communities, you've got these stores like Dollar General, Dollar Tree, that have, now don't get me wrong. They do have the frozen food section, and they do have like frozen vegetables, and they do have proteins. So they don't just have the dry goods and like the carbs, the candies and all that. Right. So they have made some efforts. However, you're not going to find any fresh vegetables in any of those stores.
It's nothing compared to a Whole Foods or a Sprouts or your nearest farmer's market. Nothing compared. The quality.
I mean, even the food that is in the freezer in the frozen section has to have, they put the additives and things in there to make it. Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah. That's not a coincidence, and that is definitely something that we have to continuously raise awareness. And this is why I'm getting ready to get on my voting kick, but this is why voting is so important. Your local, the mayors, your councilmen, the people in your local areas that have the ability to have access to funding, that can use funding to be able to improve development of, you know, these different places. I mean, specifically be intentional and say, hey, this area does not have you know, fresh produce, and we need to get a grocer in here. Who can we get in here? You know, maybe we can work with a local farmer. You know, maybe we can have a farmers market weekend. These things have to be done intentionally to be able to offset this deficit that we have in our communities. So when you see things like the local gardens, you know, the community gardens, those are very necessary. If you don't have a community garden, you might want to consider starting one. Like Candace, you have your own garden, right?
Hello, love it.
Yes,
it's magical.
Another thing is, you know, encouraging your local leaders, your mayors, your councilmen, to you know, have like farmers markets, you know, so that farmers can come in and bring fresh produce until they're able to actually have a brick and mortar like grocer in that area. You know, I mean, sign petitions. You know, you have to be, you know, an activist about these things. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, this is the reason why people do get into those positions, because there's a budget that they have, and they want to make sure that the funding is allocated to these essential needs, you know, for communities that usually are Black and brown, that will get overlooked you know, these are essential needs, so that you don't have to travel super far just to go get fresh vegetables, especially if you don't have, if you don't own a vehicle and you have to get on a bus just to go get fresh vegetables. You know, who wants to have to do that? But yeah, these are definitely the reasons why we have high diabetes. This is the reason why, you know, we have late diagnosis. People are just not able to get to the doctor, you know, regularly, consistently. And then let's talk about also, while we're on this topic, I wanted to touch on just like employment and income. And Candace, maybe you can take it from here and just kind of dive into other systemic barriers that not only impact health, but just impact our quality of life.
Yeah. So when it comes to employment and when it comes to the income, it is clear as day. Like, this is definitely a issue, especially when it comes to the Black community. I actually I don't know if we kind of got to the storytelling part yet, but I have definitely seen opportunities being given to my white counterparts and not my Black counterparts. So without stable income, assessing healthcare or living in a safe neighborhood becomes more challenging, perpetuating a cycle of poverty and poor health. I'm not going to call this company out, but I'm just going to say that they are really major. I'm pretty sure everybody has used them. I can bet that everybody has used this particular company that I'm referring to, but I see a lot of us in the lower level positions, and a lot of my white counterparts were in upper management positions. So the disparities is definitely real. And it's unfortunate, again, because it does play a part into, it's like a ripple effect. It's a domino effect. If you don't have the wealth, if you're not able to at least get opportunities to be in these higher management roles, you're kind of stuck at a glass ceiling, right? So then that kind of leaves you in a certain, I guess, income range, or, I mean, good Lord, if you're able to make a certain salary, then, you know, I guess above the poverty range, then you are fortunate. But it's like, it really is a domino effect. If you're not making a certain amount of money, it just leads to you needing some type of assistance, right? And then this becomes a glass ceiling on the type of care or treatment that you can receive. You know,
you got to decide between groceries or medicine.
I'm telling you, and let's not get started on therapy. You know,
That's a luxury. That's a luxury.
Say that again.
That's a luxury.
It's a luxury.
And it shouldn't be. It's healthcare.
Therapy should not be considered a luxury, because we use our minds every day. And the unfortunate,
girl, especially for us, those of us. Look, there are many ways. Let me just say, they don't want to give the 40 acres and a mule. They don't want to get reparations. There are many ways through healthcare, through student loans. There's so many ways that they could have given reparations. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm just going to say there's ways, but continue, sis.
Where is my bell?
Oh, look, I'm going to ring it for you. For real, there's ways. Wipe all the student debt. If you are a descendant of a slave, wipe all the student debt.
I didn't even think about that.
You should not have to pay for therapy if you are a descendant of a slave, if you are a person of color, if you have dealt with racism, discrimination, biases. I mean, come on now, daily, weekly. I mean, your whole life, you deal with stereotypes and biases, and we just keep on trucking. We just keep persevering. And yes, we're resilient, but therapy is essential. And I've said this before, Candace. I didn't mean to take over. I just want to say this.
No, I'm all ears. I want you to talk.
I'm not a clinician, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out that most Black people, I can't speak for the brown community, like the Latinos. I don't know their experience, but growing up in the Black community, I know that most Black people at a baseline level have PTSD, just from the knowledge of knowing that your ancestors, knowing that your direct lineage, knowing that the history of your family, knowing where you came from, that in and of itself is enough to make someone have PTSD. And then on top of that, knowing that you're still not living equally to your white counterparts in this country, that is enough to give you PTSD.
Can we go over? So I just pulled up some symptoms of PTSD, and I just want to talk about how deep it goes, right? So it consists of persistent negative thoughts or emotions such as fear, anger, guilt, or shame, flashbacks or nightmares of the traumatic event, avoidance of situations that remind you of the event, heightened reactions to ordinary things like loud noises or accidental touches, sleep problems, feeling detached or numb, difficulty concentrating, irritability or aggressive behavior. PTSD.
And why do you think, like, the Black community, they always say, we always joke and say, oh, we can't take nothing serious, right? We hear that a lot. Oh, everything's a joke. That is a coping mechanism. The Black community, and it's not every single person in the Black community, but the greater part of our community, we do tend to make light of serious situations. And the reason is because we already got enough heaviness weighing on us.
Right.
And that's the truth. That is the truth of the matter. Why else would we want to make light of serious situations? It's because we already have enough stuff that we've been dealing with probably from the time we were born. We've been dealing with trauma. Candace, you said it the other day. It's in our DNA.
It's in the DNA.
So when you hear people, when we hear our people making light of serious topics, I mean, yeah, we can be comedic. We are creative. We definitely know how to joke and get some laughs in, but just recognize that as a trauma response. Know that is a trauma response, and just empathize. Maybe laugh, but know that's definitely some trauma. Because we definitely some fools, but guess what? We are fools because that is how we cope. They say laughter is the medicine to the soul.
That's right. I'm happy you brought up that DNA example, right? Because I was like, oh, let me see if I can pull it up. So transgenerational trauma. So there's this researcher, Dr. Joy DeGroy, and she theorized that the extreme trauma of slavery, which it can be considered PTSS, so post-traumatic slave syndrome, that possibly has been passed down through generations. impacting the mental health of descendants even today.
See, I'm glad that you shared that, because I was unaware that there's actually a specific condition, and I'm thankful that we are differentiating that from PTSD, because me not knowing of this other condition, I didn't know. Now that I know, I will properly call it what it is. But knowing that was essentially what I've been saying, is that we definitely have some post-traumatic stress.
Yeah,
But
I didn't even know it was a term. PTSS. I'm just now learning this.
But we need that, Candace. We need these type of medical terms for our specific conditions that relate to people of our community, instead of them just slapping just a general label. Again, I use PTSD because in a general form, the things that we've experienced, they fall under the umbrella of PTSD. But that is a great example of what I mean, what it means to get the care that you need that is specific to your community, your needs. We don't need to be treated the same way someone else who may have PTSD, if our PTSD is definitely related to our identity and our history. So I'm glad that you shared that. Thank you so much. Wow. I can't wait to look more into that. Definitely.
Me too, because it's just, you could go into a black hole.
But you know what? It's so needed, because there's been for so many years, so many general medical conditions and terms have been slapped on us as though we fall into the broader, community, or the broader, human race. And while there are certain medical conditions that we all, that would apply to all of us, as it relates to mental health, you absolutely have to consider generational, genealogical, all of that stuff has to be taken into consideration. Absolutely. And if you're not going to a culturally competent provider, then you're not going to be getting diagnosed properly. And we talked about this in season 2.
Sure did. Sure
did. Providers, y'all better do your research.
So check out this statistic. 1 in 3 Black boys born today can expect to go to prison in his lifetime, compared to 1 in 6 Latino boys and 1 in 17 white boys. Yeah.
1 in 17. That's so believable. But 1 out of 3, we know. Really, probably 3 out of 3. Let's be clear. Let's be really real. Because I'm a female. I'm not a Black boy, but as a a little mixed girl, Black girl coming up in a Black neighborhood, I definitely had my run-in. And most people that I know in my family have had at least one run-in with the law. Whereas if they were Caucasian, they wouldn't have.
Yeah. If I counted the closest Black men to me, I could put them on my hand. If I were to put them on my hand, I could tell you 2 out of the 5 have did some time. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, it's a very real thing. And like you were saying, why it's so important for us to vote, changes in sentencing laws and policies rather than crime rates are primarily responsible for the increase in incarceration. Drug offenses have played a significant role, with Black men being incarcerated, right? Or individuals in general. For drug offenses at 10 times the rate of our white counterparts, despite similar usage rates. So, yeah, this opens my eyes as to why it's important to actually vote, because it's the laws that are really determining how much time our brothers and sisters spend behind bars. And, we already have some issues with having a strong I guess you could say family. What's the word that I'm looking for? We already don't have that
structure.
Yeah, it's like I feel like it's already kind of broken in the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have more friends that come from a blended family than from a 2-parent household. So like with something as small as changing a law or a policy, it could be very impactful when we think about the babies.
Yeah.
I mean, compare, 20 years compared to 2 years. 10 days compared to 5 years. Oh my gosh. Like if these are parents getting locked up and they say a child under the ages of 14, like those are the most critical years, especially I want to say younger, like anything younger than 8 years old are like the most sensitive years of a child's life.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are taking their parent out of their life due to something that could have been, you could have gotten less time for, oh my gosh, you can kind of see again the ripple effect in our communities just by a simple law not being in place.
At Pretty Purposeful Events, event planning meets social impact. We plan, we host, we build community. Grounded in service, guided by values. From youth empowerment events to community outreach, we create spaces that bring people together with purpose. Let's create something purposeful together. Pretty Purposeful Events is based in Atlanta, Georgia, proudly serving nonprofit and community-based organizations nationwide. Virtual services available. For more information, visit us online at prettypurposefulevents.com.
We just decided not to care. And now it's affecting someone's father. It's affecting somebody's mother because we decided not to do our part in trying to make it a better place, right? Policy-wise, law-wise, like vote for the person in place that actually understands that putting this person in jail for this amount of time isn't necessary, right? I think I've heard of Harris saying, I don't believe in giving a person this much time due to a drug charge. It matters. It matters because it affects our families.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's interesting that you mentioned policy and, of course, with the election coming up, definitely, hopefully everybody has already registered to vote. This election is very critical. And I want to just go ahead and segue right into the topic of this election. This election is going to impact the following topics. Our civil rights. It's going to affect reproductive rights, women rights, voting rights, economic policy, healthcare, education, criminal justice reform, gun control, climate change, and democracy as we know it. And I'm glad that you were just speaking of the importance of voting to be able to change policy so that people do not have to be locked up for crimes that they're not even violent crimes. And of course, Black and brown men tend to get longer sentences than, our white counterparts. And if we do not vote in this election and Project 2025 is implemented, heck, if Trump just becomes the president, many of our rights, including our civil rights, they're going to be taken away in so many ways. Strategically, they have outlined in Project 2025 exactly what they intend to do. So I want to play a little clip. There was a deep dive done. There was some a group, I think they were out of Philadelphia. They wanted to show just how Project 2025 was going to impact the Black community. So I'm going to go ahead and play that clip.
They want to eliminate every staff position in the federal government related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. They want to eliminate every committee, every department, anything within the federal government related to diversity, equity, inclusion, race, gender, reproductive rights. They want it gone. They want to completely rewrite all federal laws, regulations, contracts, everything to remove all references to race, gender, reproductive health, reproductive rights, sexual orientation, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on. They want to completely remove all references from everything. And then they want to use the Department of Justice.
Which means it is very difficult from a data standpoint to understand racial inequities when it comes to health, when it comes to economics, in so many different areas. And so it's sort of like, oh no, let's just get rid of all of that. And you have no way to track it. You have no way to study it. And so all of a sudden their whole deal is, oh no, everybody's the same. Don't discuss those things.
Unbelievable. 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 Candace, every time I hear about this Project 2025, I get so really sick to my stomach, because to know that we're in this day in 2024 that we are having these type of conversations, and to believe that these people are really trying to gaslight the American people into believing that what they're trying to do with this Project 2025 is humane. After what we fought through for those laws are in place for a reason. Project 2025 is real, everyone. What they're trying to do right now is, unfortunately, they are trying to set up a coup, just like they did on January 6th. I saw a ad for Trump, and it looked like a picture of Civil War, like a boat with some soldiers from the Civil War era. There's no black person, no brown person, just,
a recent ad.
Like they trying to go back to the Revolutionary Civil War era.
Girl.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I said, you can't get any more racist than that. It's very clear back then when they were in that era, you were just colonizing the states. You had the 13 colonies. Slaves might have been fighting. There might have been, people, there might have been black men that was fighting in that war, but there were still people that was enslaved.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have a say. And there's darn sure wasn't that many Mexicans in this country at that time. Mm-mm. So you showing pictures on an ad that don't have nothing to do with any other diverse population in this country. We have one more episode before the election that will air. And then we're actually going to be live.
Mm-hmm.
Not on, let me see.
Not on election night.
Not on election night. We're going to be live on the day after. We're going to go live the day after, when they're probably still either counting votes, or we will know who our president is. So we will be going live on November 6th. Yep. And so yeah, but this is so important, everybody. Please go to vote.org, find out when your state's early voting starts. I'm telling you, it's going to be best to vote early. And here's why. You already know they're going to start some funny stuff on November 5th. You only have from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to vote. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And they're going to probably try some funny stuff. And if you work a funny shift, which most Black and brown people usually do have the weird shifts, it's going to probably be hard for you to either get off of work or get through traffic to get to the polls on time. And then when you do, you might have to stand in line for 3, 4 or more hours. Who wants to do that? Now, don't get me wrong. When I was young, I used to think it was, when I finally did actually get into voting, I used to look forward to standing in the line, because that was part of the, the day. Like, oh, we're going to be experience.
It's a whole experience.
But that was when they was able to give out pizza and water. Now, at least here in Georgia, it's illegal. Organizations can't even come and bring voters food or water.
Food.
And you know why they do that? Because they want you to leave. You know that, right, Candace?
Oh, I can believe it.
They put that law, specifically put that law in place for the last election. That wasn't in place before the last election. They literally put that in place so that they could try to get Trump to win. When he lost the election last time and Biden won, they put that law in place before that election. That's what they try to do. And it's these different like little tactics and laws and things and little, loopholes and things that they put in the law to make it difficult for you to vote. When Kamala wins by a landslide, if she does so early, oh my God, when she wins by a landslide early, then that means we will know exactly how many votes he will need to win. And he can't try to call around and say, I need 11,000 votes. Oh no, bro, you're going to need way more than 11,000 votes this time. Okay, 11,000 votes for real? Shout out to Plies, rapper Plies. I'm so proud of him. He done did his civic duty. If you're not following Plies, listen, I was not a huge fan of Plies when it comes to rapping. But I have to say that as a influencer and as a hip hop leader, he definitely has done his part in the Black community and in this election to represent maturely, informed. I'm very proud of him. He deserves some type of award or recognition for his efforts. He needed a People Choice Award or something, because that man has gone really hard this election season. And I'm just very proud of the stance that he took, whereas his peers in the hip hop industry doing some other stuff I won't get into, but shout out to Plies.
If you have a story to share, if you have an opinion that you feel you need to express that aligns with what we've pretty much been talking about, please register, sign up to be a future guest. All you need to do is go to www.prettypurposefulpodcast.com and complete your guest registration form. We would love to have you.
Absolutely. And by the time this episode airs, we would have had our first two guests, Miss Tiara Owens and Autumn Charles. We had an amazing time with them. So glad that they were able to bless our platform as our first official guests. So thank you once again. And next week, we actually have another guest coming up. Our next guest that will be joining us is actually the founder of a organization called Teens on Point. And so he will be joining. His name is Shakur Cooper. He is going to be coming on to talk about the youth. Our episode next week is going to be all about the youth. And, Halloween is coming up. So, we may have some tricks or some treats for you all next episode. Definitely, if you haven't already, subscribe, hit the like button. If you haven't followed us, you can follow us on Instagram at Pretty Purposeful Podcast. And as always, it's okay to be pretty,
but even better to be
pretty purposeful. Bye.